So virtual desktop infrastructure, the downtime with that can be quite an issue. I guess, what are some of the things, what are some of the impacts people experience with that? And how, I guess also how often, can it be a problem?
So it's absolutely a problem, and it really can be a problem anytime, and that's the challenge, right? Traditional monitoring systems tend to look at it from the back end. Are my disks running overloaded, or what's my CPU look like, et cetera? And that doesn't necessarily translate to what your end user is going through, right? I've seen environments where the systems are quiet, but the end user experience is less than optimal, I guess is the best way to put it. And I've seen the flip side. I've seen systems running 80, 90% utilization, but their users are not impacted at all. So there's not always a one-to-one corollary between what you see on the backside, your traditional monitoring systems, is my RAM okay, is my CPU okay, and the end user experience. They don't always have a one-to-one match. So that's kind of the important first thing to pay attention to. And we can use Microsoft as a great example. Their recent outage. People found out by trying to open Outlook. Simply trying to open Outlook caused a problem late in the evening, even, relatively 5 p.m. East Coast time. That's when they found this issue. And although it was resolved relatively quickly, email is the lifeblood of the company, right? Very few people run actual transactional monitoring through email. They just give a general sense. Does it say it's up? Does the green dot say that my SLA is intact? Yeah, okay, I'm not going to look too much into it. But it's a major issue. It's a major artery for the company, getting information in, information out. So of course, it can cause a great deal of problems just from a productivity, opportunities lost. At the end of the day, the customers want what they want, and they want it now. They want it, we have this immediate gratification society. Anything that knocks that off, I can't process the order faster. Oh, you don't want your customer having to explain to their customer, or your organization explain to their customer, hold on a second, I'm just waiting for the system to come up, right? And the impact to your brand, the impact to your users, the frustration it creates all over the organization is measurable, and it's very hard to come back from. So,
I'm bearing in mind that picture you painted. I guess that sort of VDI performance monitoring as a first step is a fairly important part to understand what is or isn't going on at any particular time.
Absolutely. VDI, when deployed, it's not deployed for 1 or 2 users, right? VDI is deployed for thousands of users. So an impact in that VDI environment it impacts a great number of people. On top of that, a lot of the applications that VDI serves are applications that can't be delivered any other way. There's not a fancy new SaaS application for it. There isn't another method of delivery for that application. It might be an old legacy application that only runs on particular configuration. It might be an application that ties into your shipping system and ERP, and therefore it has to have special printers attached to it and whatnot. Not something that's easily delivered, especially today with this work from home. Not easy to deliver a system that was designed from the ground up for years to run inside your corporate walls, outside of your corporate walls. Not so easy to do. And so monitoring those environments so that as users move through those, their productivity is there, of course, is essential.
And I guess the other part of that, monitoring is the understanding what is going on, and I guess then trying to optimize the virtual desktop experience for users is the sort of second part of that equation. Is that right?
Right, and really we're talking about monitoring the VDI environment is great, and you need that. You need to know, are your hosts up, are the disks good, etc. But monitoring from the outside in, right? Monitoring and putting some user context and ultimately some business process context into your monitoring portfolio, if you will, is what's important. And then, of course, if I'm going to measure, then I'm going to measure for effect. I don't want to just know that it's up. I want to know what it does good look like, right? And so the Login VSI really provides a tool set that lets you know what good looks like and measure against that and really set thresholds so that if for any reason it's exceeded, you get an alert or you get logs or what have you, and it tells you that user that used to be able to open their desktop, send a message, book an order, close the ticket, what have you, in 25 seconds is now up to a minute and a half. So if they're used to processing a queue of orders that is 30 a day, 40 a day, 50 a day, and you've added 3 times the amount of time that it takes them to complete any one order, of course that's not going to work, right? You've now delayed them. You're going to get 1/3 of that productivity, and you have to look at what that means to your daily processing. Does that mean lab orders don't go out? Does that mean a customer doesn't get served? That's really where the real user side of the monitoring of that environment is important, and why the importance of performance in that measurement stack is critical. Because if you don't know how fast they're able to do their job, then ultimately something's getting backlogged. Something's queuing up somewhere and going to have to be processed later, and that'll knock off everyone's metrics on what they thought was going to get done, what actually got done, etc. You just don't want to go into that blind. You don't want to find out 3 days later when a departmental manager calls you and says, my team has been down for 3 days. My team has been running slow for 5 days. This is untenable. What are you going to do? When you could have found that within 30 seconds or a minute of when the issue started.
And so Login VSI in particular, I mean, you referenced briefly, I think, in that answer, but what is it that you as a company, offer technology-wise to help with that sort of two-part, the monitoring and then hopefully identifying areas for improvement or, solving problems? So we've developed a platform that really allows 3 different types of tests in one platform. So the Login Enterprise platform is an appliance-based software that allows you to do your acceptance testing, which is really great because from a change management perspective, you can start doing some prediction. We saw with one of the application updates that performance on the application straight out of the gate dropped 30%, right? You want to know that before you deliver that to your customer, knowing that you're going to knock them off 30%. If Teams is 30% slower, you want to know this, right? You go back to the vendor, you say, what can we do? Do we need more tuning? Do we need to wait a version? Because I can't put, all of my sales people can't go through this pain and I still expect to make my end of quarter, et cetera. So you get some predictive capability there. From there, we also can actually load test environments and really say, what is the capacity of this? What should I be able to run through this environment? And then finally, this monitoring aspect, this continuous measurement, where we're constantly measuring and measuring from different points of view. So I can have monitoring from the Southeast, the Northwest. I can have it from the Philippines. I can have it from Japan. I can have it from here and there. And I can also zone it by either VDI environment or application stack. How are my CRM users in Japan interacting with my VDI environment in Redmond, Washington, or New York City, or what have you? And really, we give you a dashboard that lets you measure these things and monitor these things and visually see green, yellow, red. Are my users being effective? Yeah, there might be fires in California and a worldwide pandemic, and Microsoft might be down. But how are my orders? My orders are still good. My team is still chunking through orders with some sort of regularity. The systems that they're using are still up. It gives IT practitioners a great way to be able to illustrate to their organizations what is working and what the end user impact is. And that's often forgotten in organizations, is really being able to map business impact to user impact. And that's what this platform does exceptionally well. And in terms of the focus, I mean, is it specifically for Windows Virtual Desktop or other sort of platforms supported? What's that sort of situation?
We started with Citrix, and so we support Citrix. We then moved to VMware and Horizon and whatnot, and so we support that environment as well. I think we're up to 5 connectors. We can drive Citrix Storefront, Citrix Cloud, Workspace ONE, all VMware products as well. Really, it's WVD was recent, right? And it was actually a team at Microsoft that came to us and asked us, hey, can you help us apply some of what you've picked up working in these other environments for years and a decade or better, and apply it here. They have a very strong showing, and we're really excited about what the option means to the world. So we built a quick starter kit to help people get started with this new technology and start breaking it down and understanding what it can do, how it's deployed, give them a tool set to take some discipline into a VDI deployment from scratch and start answering some of these critical questions.
And with that, I don't want to sort of push you into a corner, but in terms of those different flavors, you mentioned obviously Citrix, we're familiar with, and Windows. Do you have any sort of thoughts as to how that market, is Windows making a massive impact, or is it just another one of several options? How do you just see that playing out, I suppose?
Very interesting question, and there's this definitely a buzz. There's definitely a buzz, and there's a lot of people that are evaluating this technology to see what could it mean for me. Like any new technology, the tooling and some of the routines are not quite there yet, and only because it's new, right? Give it time, and it will have the same support system around it that Citrix and VMware and some of these well-established solutions have enjoyed for years and years and years. But there's a lot of excitement around it. We're seeing a huge uptick in interest around it. And ultimately, this work from home environment and what it's created is, again, ripe for VDI. If you then layer on the new security needs and really being able to deliver security in different compliance levels across your organization in different countries, et cetera, VDI becomes one of the easiest ways to deliver zero trust security, et cetera. So we're really excited about what it means. We think that work from home really has put the challenge on organizations to say, how much can we do? And then how much can we do now, right now, immediately? I don't have the time to take 2 years and revamp my entire application estate. What can we do now? And VDI is really shining in that environment. And so we're really excited about what the future means. We're seeing a huge uptick in interest around WVD, probably more so than any other platform that we engage with. WVD is coming out charging hard.
Okay, and just picking up on the last, you sort of did reference the few. I mean, clearly the pandemic, we're familiar, regrettably, with what that has done to the IT environment. But in terms of looking further ahead, whether it's the VDI market or yourselves, what else is on the roadmap? I guess some thoughts about. It seems like this hybrid work model. People have understood it, and that's probably we're not all going to rush back to the office regardless, but just some thoughts as to how it's going to play out.
So I think that there has been experiments in the past, right? And in high tech companies, the Facebooks, the Googles and stuff have grappled with how much productivity actually happens from home. And if you do a little research, you'll find that Google has found some very interesting ways to figure out when people are working and when they're playing volleyball or doing their laundry or what have you. But I think what the pandemic has really done is say this is a viable option. If you have picked the right employees, they want to do good work, they want to be productive, and frustration happens when they can't be. Delivering an environment to them that has what they need in one login is incredibly unifying, and so we think there's huge potential there. We think that the work from home, as people decide what is the right platform, what is the right cloud, how do I want to re-articulate these applications, what is the right mix, that VDI is the stopgap, at least in the short term. And I think that what you'll find is that the evolution of some of these other technologies moves so fast that a portion will stay VDI just because they can't keep pace. This is what we're looking at, keeping pace. what you'll see with Login VSI and what you'll see with our technology stack over the course of the next year are all enhancements to help you keep pace. I have automation, all the software that is delivered to me is delivered through automation. That means they build it faster, they write it faster, they test it faster. And instead of getting one update a month, I might get one update a week. How do I keep pace? So you'll see a lot of automation coming from our side. We're really excited about our next release that goes out the door mid-October, and some of the automation capabilities it has. And we're just going to double down on automation, and really, with this combination of acceptance testing and continuous monitoring, we're really looking to give you a way to keep pace with all of these changes and do it the right way. Robots can work faster, and so let's have the robots run all of these different scenarios for us and just report back to us the results, so we know where we need to put our human intervention and our human time. So they can do it in minutes that would take days otherwise. What happens is people shy away from the preponderance of tests they have to run because they just don't have the time and the resources to do it. So they take the skinniest path through that chasm that they can. We're hoping that through the automation and through the capabilities of the platform, you don't have to take that skinny path, that you can put this thing to work, let the automation fill in the blanks, answer the corner cases, and really give you a robust data set. So as you deploy these environments and these applications to your end users, you know that they're up, you know that they're good. They were good when you tested it, they were good when they were delivered, and we can keep track of it. And when that new update comes in, the new security vulnerability gets plugged or what have you, you need to quickly turn a corner. You have automation to quickly turn that corner and keep up with hundreds of applications changing on a monthly basis with Windows security updates, et cetera, et cetera. We just want you to be able to chunk through that body of work the right way, fast. And that's what you'll see from Login VSI over the course of the coming months.
Okay, I mean, that's brilliant. We've covered a lot of ground to do with VDI and some great insights from yourself. So, Michael, thanks very much indeed for your time.
Thank you for having me.